Hi, welcome to the Mokum studio based in Sydney. We're coming live via We Love Fabric, and for those of you who haven't tuned in before, I'm Stephanie Moffat. I'm the design director for Mokum, and with me is Annie.
Hi, I'm Annie Moyer, Mokum's product developer. Thank you so much for joining us today as we share with you our love of linen. We're going to talk through the origins of the fibre and then also share with you some of the different development stages we go through in creating linen textiles. Linen is revered for its relaxed beauty and organic, casual sophistication. The connection that you have as on your skin as you touch a beautiful, gorgeous linen textile really it's energetic. The natural texture, the gorgeous luster, the way it moves, even the sound it makes when you toss it around is so alluring. And it really is a feeling that's almost impossible to replicate. And as the Mokum designers, we love developing with linen. As with all new developments, we always start with the fibre. And linen is derived from the cellulose fibres found within the stalks of the flax plant, one of the oldest cultivated plants in human history. The yarn is then, the fibre is then spun into yarn, and the yarn can then be woven into fabric. The high quality linen is an expensive fibre to procure, and that's really due to the fact that the growing, the harvesting, and the production of flax is really a labour of love. Linen is often required to have artisanal dyeing techniques and artisanal finishing techniques applied to it, and that further adds to the cost of production. Another driving factor in the increasing prices of linen really is the fashion industry.
We're both wearing linen.
Yeah, I live in linen, and they obviously have a current love affair with this beautiful textile, and that is adding a pressure to the supply and demand. But in the Mokum studio, we work with some of the finest mills from around the world. And with our linen development specifically, we work with Italian mills, Belgian and Turkish mills. And these experts are constantly innovating and constantly engineering to find new ways and new techniques to modernize this ancient fibre. And we're always being shown really inspiring new linen constructions. And the Mokum brand has a huge range of beautiful linen qualities, and we're going to share a few of our favourites with you today.
Yeah, we absolutely love working with linen, and one of the core reasons behind that is its ability to create dye stuff. It's a highly absorbent fibre, and it's a smooth, lint-free fibre. As I said, absorbent, and also it has a beautiful natural luster. And one of the core aspects of adding value to the product is via dyeing and finishing. And so there's multitude of effects you can create both through these processes, and they have an amazing impact on the finished goods. So we're going to talk about the two main methods of dyeing. The first one is yarn dyed. Annie's got a yarn card here from one of our Italian suppliers. So you can see the beautiful impact of the colour on the yarn. And with the yarn dye product, the yarn is manufactured and then it is woven. And so you can create texture via adding multiple weft colours. And so the weft is the horizontal yarns in your fabric and the warp is the vertical. Or you can have a more classic blocked approach of creating stripes or checks by mixing block striping into your weft as well as your warp. Now, a really great example of a yarn dyed product is our Infinite. This is woven in Italy, and it has a very classic finish to it with a lovely inherent slub that you can see in the ground, and that's an inherent characteristic that should be celebrated. And you can see what we would call a traditional shot effect, where the warp is a different colour to the weft, and the more contrasting the more shot the product comes, or you can have it very subtle and tonal as well. Infinite's a great example of a very mineral subdued palette that really reflects the colours that we like in the southern hemisphere. Due to our really strong light, we tend to like a more subdued sort of pared back palette within our home. The second dyeing technique is piece dyeing, and that is when the raw yarn is woven, and at this stage it's called greige, and then it is dyed in its piece. And the dye bath size and the method of dye hugely impacts on how the cloth comes out as a product, and you can create so much surface interest, and often a small dye bath where you have a lot of movement can create a really irregular and interesting and antiqued finish. So a wonderful example Annie's going to show you is our Eternal. Again, woven in Italy. This is a stunning artisanally dyed, heavy tumbled textile. It's our #1 selling linen plain for the Mokum brand. And you can see here in some of the colours it has a soft, dusted off, almost chalky aesthetic to it. And you have lovely neutrals as well as these soft, romantic and dusty shades, and then coming through into the mineral tones. And again, this palette is really reflective of that softer palette that we like working with in this part of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And before a fabric is finished at the mill, it would in some cases be almost unrecognisable to how you see the finished fabric on our hangers in our showrooms. There are multiple different ways in which a fabric can be finished after weaving, and these finishing techniques, they really affect or in some cases improve the handle, the appearance, and sometimes even the performance of the fabric. And a fabric might just go through 1 or 2 finishing treatments, and others may go through many. And today we just wanted to highlight to you the 2 most common or I guess even most important finishing processes that we use in the studio for our linen developments.
They're our favoured ones.
Yeah, they really pair well with the linen fibre. So the first one is of course the aero finishing technique, and this is commonly referred to as also Biancalani, which is the name of the machine. And this is a process that comes about by transporting the fabric through a large machine using nothing but high pressured air. The fabric is then thrashed against a impact grid, which is positioned at the rear of the machine, and through this impact and this motion, the starchy linen fibres sort of break down and soften. And as brutal as that may sound, it really is a remarkable process where all of the accumulated kinetic energy is released and a permanent softening effect takes place. And a great example of a beautiful aero finish product is Mokum's stunning Lino, which Steph is showing now. Lino is a 100% linen wide width sheer with a gorgeous soft handle and a beautiful drape. The semi-transparency of this cloth offers privacy at the window, but still allows dappled light to enter the room, which is really beautiful. And this product has been yarn dyed, as explained by Stephanie. This is using multicolored weft yarns, really enables these beautiful, subtle complexity across the colorways, and the palette includes some lovely fresh tones as well as these chalky feminine midtones as well. The second really important technique we wanted to share with you today is that of stonewashing. And stonewashing is a really interesting finishing process that renders the fabric a lovely worn-in appearance or almost an antiqued patina. And the way that it occurs is using large industrial washing machines. The fabric is inserted alongside abradants such as pebbles, pumice stones, or even rubber balls in some cases. And as the machine rotates, the fabric is beaten and the fibres are deliberately disrupted and softened, I guess, to create this gorgeous surface interest and irregular surface interest. And it's important to understand that this is of course a very artisan finishing process, and it is impossible to get perfect consistency across batches. It slightly differs every time, and this is its charm. This is what we love about it, and it's what makes it unique and really special. So
we all remember our stonewashed jeans. I mean, so we've all experienced that. For some reason, acid wash didn't really translate.
It's a common finishing technique with denim, absolutely. But we love it with linen, and this is a perfect example. Satori Stonewash, one of Mokum's 100% linen drapery qualities, this has a beautiful weight and an almost energetic texture to it. It looks amazing in drapery application. And the stonewashing effect really harnesses this very subtle, very soft worn-in appearance that just adds instant softness and instant comfort to a space.
Yes, and Satori, Stonewash and Lino are both woven in Turkey. And Turkey has really become a powerhouse for wide width textiles in the last decade.
Yeah.
And really also a major force to be reckoned with linen, not just from their manufacturing but also their finishing and their innovations. And so we do a lot of our wide width development out of Turkey. So we wanted to shout out to our friends in Turkey and say we can't wait for you guys to come out of lockdown, and we'll be back to developing with you. So next we're going to talk about how the last way that we like to add pattern and colour to a linen textile, and that is digital printing. And for us, we love digital printing. It's really been another core technological innovation in the last decade, and what we love about it is the agility in which you can develop. In the past there was really a limitation on the amount of colour via screen commitments and minimums, and now the minimums are much lower, and also more importantly that photographic capability. It allows you to capture all this beautiful subtle nuances of your artwork. We design in Sydney, but we work with a European artist who then paints our surface patterns, and she's really an expert with watercolour and other mediums. And what we love about digital printing is that we are able to capture her artistry on the page. And Magnolia is a wonderful example of this. This is one of the first developments we did with her years ago, and it's an overscaled floral, and you can see how it's captured the stunning nuances of her watercolour within the magnolia flower, but you also see the beauty of the base cloth shining through. And I think it's that relationship between the print and the construction that makes it such a romantic textile. It's also heavily finished, and it's a beautiful heavy cloth. This one again is produced in Italy, and it has been very successful for us. So we really hope that today has been of interest, and we were going to today also talk about pros and cons of the fibre at the manufacturing level.
And the inherent characteristics.
Totally, and also how to meet your clients' expectations with such a bespoke product. But we're really also trying to keep these discussions under 10 minutes. So we're going to come back to you via Mokum Studio on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and we'll focus on manufacturing and a lot of the information we've learned over the last 100 years.
To help you to make sure you're specifying linen in an appropriate situation and that your client has realistic expectations.
Totally. That's the most important factor.
Come back on Tuesday next week and we'll really deep dive into that subject. And while we have your attention, we wanted to highlight the colouring in competition that we're currently running. For anyone that's interested in entering, you could be in the running to win 2 beautiful custom-made Mokum cushions. And to enter, simply visit our website, www.jamesdunloptextiles.com, and download the beautiful colouring in pages which have been created from the original artworks of Peonia and the beautiful papillon that Stephanie was holding. So download the pages, get creative, use whichever medium your heart desires, and it's important to be following both We Love Fabric and Mokum Studio Instagram accounts. Upload your entry to your personal Instagram account, tagging Mokum Studio and using the hashtag #MyMokumMasterpiece. And you've got a week. The entries will close on the 29th of April, and we will judge and announce the talented winner on the 30th of April.
So thanks for tuning in. Kia kaha.
Thanks, guys.